It's like a child or a plant, right? You kind of have to nurture it in a certain way.
Yeah. And if you let it, it will just go wild. And I'm like sacrificing time at my 9 to 6 to figure out why my 6 till 10 isn't working. I learned everything through osmosis and watching everyone else have money, you know?
Like if you don't have a side hustle, you're basically not doing enough.
Yeah.
Or if you're not like...
It's a stigma as well, though.
It's a stigma, yeah. Yeah.
It's the side hustle that's the unhealthy part.
You bought into the dream and the dream
I bought into the dream.
It didn't pay you back.
It did not, no.
This is what I think 2016 was. It was the start of the worst episode of Black Mirror ever. And I can't get out of it. I can't turn the TV off.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, oh, we're just living this life now. It's not the one I chose, but it's the one I have. So doing some real childhood healing here now.
Hey, Manny.
Hello, good to see you again.
You
When's
too.
the last time I saw you? Was that Christmas?
Well, I think it was March, actually. So
Was it March?
I really like that I've made such an impressionable
you
impression on you.
Too.
I mean, we have met once.
But I remember it though.
Yes.
I remember it. It was vivid.
Yes, and you were selling pots.
I was selling pots.
Colourful pots.
Colourful pots. It's all the rage.
Because you sell colourful pots.
That's what I make and sell. Yeah.
What do you do? Do you make colourful pots as your 9 to 5?
It's not my 9 to 5. Okay, so being an architect is my 9 till 6 because I wish it was 9 to 5. 9 to 5. We're turning into an employee-owned trust, so we're gonna try and back those hours up a little bit.
Okay.
But we'll see. Still got to fight the power.
Always fight the power.
Yeah. And then I started in lockdown because I was drinking way too much wine, way too much Domino's pizza. I needed something to do that was productive outside of those hours. So I just started making plant pots. Well, it was actually kind of a challenge, so it was kind of nice to like, people were saying, this is like, look at this, look, this is amazing, look at this is amazing. And they're like charging an absolute fortune for like these really basically done things. And I love to undercut big competition.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to sell something for £100 when it takes you like £5-10 to make it. And you're like, that is, what is that, like over 1,000% what profit? I know you have
Markup,
overheads
yeah.
and this and that, whatever. But it's just ridiculous. So I thought, I might as well do it now.
So you're an architect.
Yeah.
Bored. I'm assuming you were living on your own or maybe not?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Okay, that doesn't help because you obviously had a lot more time to
did,
kill. You didn't
I
have
did.
housemates to, nope, just by yourself.
No, yeah.
Sitting at home, eating a lot of Dominoes, drinking way too much wine.
Yeah.
And then where was the spark that was like pots, 3D printed pots?
The spark. It was more, I guess maybe it was more considered than a spark.
Oh.
In the way that, this is going to sound really dark. I'm trying to not dark, but I mean I'm trying to sound cheerful. I make pots because they're fun.
You don't have to though. It's okay.
But if you're looking at it
Art is, born from misery and pain.
Yeah,
So.
which is what I was eating my feelings at the time and you don't even realize it. I'm just thinking, this is great. I've got jogging bottoms on. I'm not putting on any weight. Put on a pair of trousers 2 years later and you're like, damn, But it was more considered in that, what do people kind of want to buy all year round? Like, what do people...
So you were thinking about a product. You wanted to...
I like designing products. Like my sketchbooks at work, they're half full of architecture and half full of just things that I just think about, and it's just... I thought pots, it's just nice and they're actually really expensive and they don't need to be that expensive, especially if I can do it quite cheap. Because we're all going through this thing where everything's so expensive. Everything costs an absolute fortune and not through any fault of our own. And we're suffering. And why are we suffering? I don't understand, because, a few people just want some more money, don't they? So I started making pots and I try and sell them as cheap as I can so that I can kind of just keep it going. I'm making a little bit of money, which is nice. It pays not a lot, but it pays for commuting. It pays for my bike that got stolen when I buy a new bike. It pays for a washing machine when my washing machine broke. It's like, I'm not going on holiday or anything with it, but it's paying for like emergency stuff.
It's your rainy day money.
Yeah, it's my lifeline, in a way, and I'm lucky enough to have skills that I can have a second kind of lifeline with. There are a lot of people who don't, and you kind of think, wow, I don't know how you do it without it at this point,
It's really funny because a lot of the conversations that I'm having do talk about this like side hustle culture. Because the 9 to 5 is just not enough anymore.
No. And it was like, what was it I felt like last year or the year before, like side hustle culture really kicked off.
100%.
Really, everyone was like, what do you do on the side? Like Vinted, Depop, making this ceramics. Like people love ceramics. And
Yeah,
they were
they
like,
do.
people were going wild for like, but that's an expensive process, and buying ceramics, buying clay and firing and making and your time, that's all really expensive. And why would I do that if I don't need to do that? Like why, I'm lucky that I bought a 3D printer and that does all the work for me. And so why do I need to charge someone my time when I'm not doing anything myself? It's just material, energy.
Yeah.
I don't even charge for like the design itself in a way, like time I spend design, because that's so minuscule in comparison.
It's the production time that you charge for, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically the cost of material and energy, and like a taxi getting from my home to wherever the market is.
Which you do most Saturdays, I think?
No, actually, I don't do it anymore as much.
Okay.
Because I'm actually just really busy with shops and Etsy orders. So
That's so good. I'm so glad.
Thanks. It's good, but it brings its own stresses. Having 2 jobs. It's just having 2 jobs.
Yeah, while the other one's kind of peaking in you. It's like a child or a plant, right? You kind of have to nurture it in a certain way.
Yeah. And if you let it, it will just go wild, and you need to kind of tame it. You need to tame it and look after it, and it's like right now it's quite stressful. Like every evening is like just doing more stuff, and I'm like sacrificing time at my 9 to 6 to figure out why my 6 till 10 isn't working, and you're like dealing with Etsy orders at work, like getting notifications on your phone like, where's my plant pot? I was like, I'm really sorry, it's on its way. It's just
because people expect you to be present. They don't know that this is your side hustle.
Right.
So if they send you a message about their pot with whatever the question or query is, they're like, you need to answer in a timely fashion.
Which is acceptable, which is 100% acceptable.
Of course.
Because I've taken on this responsibility, so it's my responsibility to make sure it gets done. And everyone's reasonable. Everyone just wants to know what's going on. That's all they care about. I'm a terrible communicator, maybe.
But it's a skill that you're working on, right? Because you kind of have to. And also what I find is like, you cannot just be one thing. So, okay, take away the architecture, right?
Yeah.
You can no longer just be somebody who sells really cool 3D neon colored pots.
No.
You have to be a social media person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be your own accountant,
mm-hmm.
your own like admin person.
Yeah, all of it. Marketing. It's
a lot.
And no one has all those skills. Companies have teams of people doing those skills, and you're expected as one individual to, like just do all of it. And it's like, how do you do that? And
because you're in a period of growth, and your printers are now like Tamagotchis,
That is the best way to describe it, maybe, because they're mechanical, but they act like animals. Like they need maintenance. They need to be looked after. They can't. You don't just leave them there, Otherwise, they break, and when they break, you need to fix it and figure out why. Each one has its own personality as well, so it's kind of funny. Like you are just like, come on, what? I know you don't like this, but why don't you like this? Even though this one's okay with it, like Maybe I should give them like actual names with a bit.
I was gonna say that was my next question. Do they have names?
They don't. I feel a bit.
I feel you should.
Yeah, I think I like giving things names. I always give my bike a name.
What was the one that was stolen? What was the name of that bike?
Oh, this is gonna sound so douchey.
Oh, it wasn't after yourself, was it?
No, definitely. Oh God, no, I'm not like that. I called it Valkyrie.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to give them like.
That's not douchey. That seems reasonable.
Is it? Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Like, okay, so you've got the side hustle,
mm-hmm.
But you trained as an architect.
Trained as an architect.
Was that like, you were like, yeah, I'm going to be like the big architect, makes like the grand design homes, or what was the process?
Controversially, I don't like grand designs. I don't like Kevin MacLeod. I think he's a bit of a showboater. Yeah, sorry.
I don't watch it, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just that's my reference.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that a lot though, because obviously people don't know much about art. Like when I go back home, like everyone's like, "Oh, what do you think of grand designs?" And I'm like, "Oh, not again."
Yeah, it's kind of the sole reference point that we all have.
Yeah, it is, and it's not a bad reference point. It's just like any question when you get asked it over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, yeah. When I chose architecture, it was actually a really panicked choice.
Oh.
Yeah, I panicked. And I was like, I like art, but artists don't make any money. I was going to do psychology, but I thought, I'll probably go make myself go crazy if I do that.
You'll probably analyze yourself. And
Super. I was already kind of like that anyway, let alone like given the tools to actually do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Psychoanalyze yourself on the road.
Yeah, and then like I'll probably end up trying to manipulate people or something like that if I can as well, you know, to get my end result. And I thought a good blend of the two is architecture, because you're kind of creative, it's a large scale, it's kind of fun, and you know, it's just, and you assume you're going to get paid a lot, but you do not. So
you bought into the dream, and the dream
I bought into the dream.
It didn't pay you back.
It did not, no. And it was so funny because everyone that I kind of like, there's like a subgroup of architects who are definitely thinking, if I knew this from the start, I wouldn't have chosen it.
I've heard this a few times.
Yeah. You know, there's people who are passionate about architecture, and that's amazing. The world needs you.
Of course, we need people to design.
Yeah. But some of us are just like, I like it and I enjoy it, but this is just my job. You know, I'm not going to do hours and hours of overtime like everyone thinks. You know, I leave when my hours kind of end. Unless there's like a serious thing that needs to get done. You do the work, everyone does the work when the work needs to get done.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna stress about it.
And like, even when it comes to money, and again with this side hustle thing, because it, as you said, it's boomed in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a side hustle, you're basically not doing enough.
Yeah.
Or if you're not like,
it's a stigma as well though.
It's a stigma, yeah.
Yeah.
My I had an interview, and I was notified that, you know, the Dolly Parton song 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
Apparently she made a new version of it because she was commissioned by this company.
Yeah.
And apparently the new song goes 5 to 9.
No.
Yeah,
no.
endorsing side hustle culture.
No.
This is how much it's ingrained. Like when Dolly Parton says it, it's basically true. It's verbatim.
Yeah.
It's part of our culture. It is. It's just that's
yeah.
it.
That is
Dolly Parton said it. It's the word.
It's the truth. What do you do? It's when the truth is the truth.
So my mom, she stopped working from just before I was born till I was 11 because we moved around. Like we were living in Hong Kong and Singapore, and she only started working when we moved to Australia, and I was like 11 years old or something. And, you know, we were in school, so it was better. And so, but while I was growing up, my mom was very handy with a sewing machine. Like in general, she was incredible with her hands, food, whatever. But she was really good at making kids' clothes, and they were really beautiful. Okay. Like she made from like 100% cotton and all this stuff.
Oh, that's nice. So
she made these beautiful clothes. She came up with labeling, again, like doing all of this herself while, you know, running a household, 2 kids. My dad obviously was an engineer, had like stupid long hours. So just doing this all on her own. So then she would make all these things, and we go to the markets, and I was obviously under 11 because this all happened when I was under 11. And it was just heartbreaking. Do you know what I mean? Because like, so that I think I love markets, but I also feel so guilty when I walk past a stand and I just walk past and continue because I know that feeling. And it's even as a young kid, I still remember like, you know, and then you think like people, oh, these are so beautiful. Oh, wow, the quality. Oh, this, you know. And then they walk away. And that's fine. Of course, they're entitled to. Yeah. But like sometimes we'd be at these markets all day, and, you know, my mum would end up spending more being there because obviously we want to get food. We want to get some, you know, something to drink. Oh, Mum, can I go and buy this thing? And like she did make money, but then, you know, again, we had to do like a little photo shoot. So my sister and her friends, you know, were wearing, so she's now a photographer and like a, you know, shoot director. And I just remember, like, when anyone come in, when someone did buy something. It was like Christmas.
Yeah, that joy in your
The
face. Oh, you're
joy.
just like, oh my God, someone actually liked it enough to give me money
Yeah.
for it. This is
Like the
wild.
validation. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
it is. It
mean?
is.
So, look, let's talk about money.
Let's do it.
What is your first memory of money?
My first memory of money.
Like, when did you become aware of its presence?
I think maybe one of my earliest memories is probably being 5, 6, and
Okay.
then I'm just like, I've got a money box and I'm putting all these throughout the year. I'm getting 2p's, 5p's, bonus. I got a 20p, you know?
Bonus,
Yeah,
payday.
yeah. And then like sometimes I just used to like once, I don't know, once every like couple of months or something, I'd get my money box, I'd spill it all out over the bed, and I'd just like count everything, and I'd like recount it, and I'm just double checking that I've got the right amount. And I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not going to buy any. I've got like £10 worth of 2p's. What am I doing? You know? But for me, that was like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't know why I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. I have no idea.
What happened to the money box?
I've still got the money box.
You have the money box?
I have the money box. I
That's
kept
so
that. I kept the money
cute.
box. It's full of other stuff. It's not full of 2p's anymore. It's full of other. I don't know what's full of, but it's got other stuff in there.
What did you do with that £10?
Probably put it in the bank. It's getting interest on 5% interest on it. You know.
What's it now? Maybe a
Oh
clean
God, maybe clean.
£97.
Maybe £97. Yeah, it's actually probably worth more like £4.50 by now, going by the rate of
Oh yeah,
everything.
fluctuations.
Yeah. It's probably worth less than when I had it at the start, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, okay. And did you feel like, is that how you've been, like, growing up then? Or are you always happy to, like, look at your accounts, be very mindful about what you have, count it, recount it, see where your expenses are?
I was always mindful of it, but I was never in control of it. I never, like, I never had any. Like, I never controlled it. My mum or my dad or well, mostly my mum, you know, like she had all my bank books. I never had a credit card or a debit card or anything like that. She'd give me money for food at lunch, or she'd make me pack lunch. Why do I need money for? I don't.
Yeah.
Here's food from home. What do you need money for? You know, do you want a toy? Like, you know, well, why do you want a toy for? You don't need a toy. So it's that kind of situation. I mean, I'm making it sound bad, but it's just like,
No, that's just how it was.
it's just how it was. Like when you don't miss what you don't have in a kind of way, you know? Not to say that I didn't get what I wanted sometimes, you know, I got things that if I needed clothes, like my mum would be like, yeah, sure, here's some whatever money, go get it. How much do you need? But I never had any. Like I was never in control of it.
And when did you get your own money and start controlling it?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know, you know, probably closer to when I went to university.
Wow. Is it because had you not had a job in high school or?
No, I got a job as soon as I turned 16. I didn't want a job, obviously, but as soon as I turned 16, my mum and sister, there's a brand new Tesco Extra opening, the big Tesco, you know, as everyone likes to call it,
Of
the big
course.
Tesco.
Yeah.
And my mum and sister like filled out an application form, sent it in my name, and they like without me knowing, and I'm just like sitting there watching TV one day. It's like, you've got an interview, go get an interview, go to the interview.
And you're like, how did I get an interview?
Yeah,
I didn't apply for the job. Well, yes, you
yes,
did.
you did. Now go get the job. Go do the job. Go get the job. And da 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 da. You know, and I was like, you know, it's like, damn it. As much as I hated it, it was fun because what else would I be doing? Just sitting around doing absolutely nothing.
And it was probably nice to like earn your own money, I suppose.
Yeah, but like I don't. The thing is, like, I'm careful with money. I'm too careful with money.
Okay.
Like I know what I'm doing with it before I even have it. So
You've mapped it out.
In a way, yeah. Like, and I think that's very much. I don't know where it came from. I don't know. I have no idea at all. It's not. I don't know because my parents never told me whatever anything.
They didn't teach you about money.
No, they didn't teach me anything about money. I learned everything through osmosis and watching everyone else have money. You know, but that money was going to my university fund. University is expensive, so for me, like I knew that what was it like? How much was it? Like 6 grand? I don't know, 9 grand, whatever it was when I was going. I was like, that's what that was for. So I
Yeah.
worked for 2 years after work, weekends, long shifts, whatever, saving about paying pennies back in the day as well. Like, and you saved enough just for 1 year's worth of tuition, and I can't believe I worked 2 years for 1 year of
That's
education.
impressive though, because I don't think a lot of people had that. Even that, you were able to pay for that. It's
Yeah,
not a lot, I guess, but it's a lot more than a lot of people would have had.
it's a lot more than other people would have had, yeah, for sure. But
Tesco Extra paid
yeah,
out.
a little bit. But it's also like I never had that money in the first
Yeah.
place because I
Oh
knew why I was
yeah.
spending it. Like I don't have it. I know where it's going.
Yeah.
Like I did like have the odd splurge of like a couple of £100, like clothes shopping, buying new trainers and this once in a while, but
All right. And what would you say? So that's your current relationship. What's your current relationship with money then? Are you still like that?
I would say it's got healthy aspects in that I think about it and I'm like, okay, I need to like one of my things in my head is that so I read something that it was like you should have a 6 month emergency supply, not emergency supply, but like a backup of money. And I'm thinking
Come
like
on.
I don't have that.
But who does?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Who does? And I remember I was buying a bike from some guy ages ago, and I was just like bank transfer the money, and I saw his phone, and his phone said like 24 grand, and that was just like his current account or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
and that kind of shit me up to be honest, because
24.
yeah, and that shit me up, and I was like, I've got like £500, and I'm sending you 400, like 200 over here, I'm thinking. And so that kind of spurred on the plant pots. Once I knew it was doing well, it was like I need to like build my um
Pot from your
yeah, I
pots?
need to build my backup my
Your nest
backup.
egg.
Yeah, my nest egg. Yeah, that's the word. Because prior to this job that I have now, I was made redundant twice in a row,
Oh, yeah.
and paying rent without a job or whatever, you're thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to get this money from? Because I want to be fiercely independent from my parents. I don't want to ask them for money. Like I should be an adult by now, I
Yeah.
should be able to like fend for myself in a way. So you're just yeah. So it's like, right, I need to like step on this a little bit because like seeing someone else do really well kind of gives me drive and ambition to do better as well, because it's competition, I guess, isn't it? Maybe at its core, I don't know. And I just want, yeah, like, yeah,
But I think that's so like such a big thing now, especially with like social media and you have these like influencers flaunting like, and I'm not saying that's you, right?
yeah,
And yours was a much more organic way of like you saw somebody else who could be you.
yeah,
Their bank balance was a lot bigger than yours.
yeah,
I had a moment where somebody who I thought had a lot more money than me, I found out they were just living constantly in their overdraft. And that
yeah,
scared me so much because I wasn't close to that. But I was like, I don't want to be you. Like, I
yeah,
think I
yeah, yeah,
respect so much about you, but like, I can't be that. You're
yeah,
older than me, yet you live in your overdraft. That's just not going to be me. So that spurred you to be like that person. That spurred me to be not like that
yeah,
person.
exactly,
You need a driver, right?
yeah,
And I think that's a really good way because I think like sometimes with this influencer culture, you're striving for something that you don't really know what's behind the scenes,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
right? Like,
Like I was actually like I was seeing the nurse at my local GP, and like for like mental health kind of stuff,
yeah,
and she was talking to me and she was saying how it's wild what London's like in terms of loneliness. There's like a real loneliness. She went as far as to say like epidemic. And she was thinking like she said like she's seen influencers, she's seen people who have this and that and all kinds of people, and like even talking to me, she was like it's wild what people perceive
yeah,
and what the reality actually is. She's like scared. She was like genuinely scared because everyone's got friends and everyone's out and seeing stuff and da 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 da.
And what you post on social media is always the better stuff.
Exactly. And it's like one thing that always gets me is that like everyone has like all these friends, but when was the last time anyone asked one of their friends like, oh, what's really going on?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? I don't think people ask that enough. And I think, well, people don't ask it or they don't mean it enough. They don't mean it enough to find out. And that's kind of like, that kind of annoys me in a way.
No, I think it's really interesting what you said, because as we were saying, you never know what's behind that influencer.
Yeah.
What stresses they have, what they're really like. You know, it's always a glamorous perception of what their life is, that little screenshot.
Yeah.
But then like people buy into that. Like I saw, what did I see? It was something. I don't follow any influencers, right? The people I follow are people I like, I don't know, a comedian or someone who's big in the fitness space, but someone I respect, not someone who's like, I'm 19 years old, and if you want to have this body, you should follow this diet. I'm like, girl, I'm like so much older than you. I've had a baby. What you think is the way that my body's going to get to yours is definitely not the way. So like, just sit down, Kelly, whatever your name is. But the people I follow are people who I feel have like an inspirational like effect on my life, like an aspirational kind of thing, right? Like, I can see how you go down that route. You know, you see this like celebrity or someone who's, you know, was on whatever season of Love Island.
Yeah.
And now they're living in this, well, for some reason, they always get to live in these amazing apartments. And I'm like, but what do you actually do?
Yeah.
Like, what do you actually do to pay for all this? I swear at the beginning of all these kind of shows, they used to be like, oh, I'm an architect and I'm just on Love Island because I want to find love or whatever. But I feel, not that I watch these things anymore, from what I see, think these people even have proper jobs anymore. They're just like, well, this will be my job.
Yeah.
I'll do one season of this, then I'll do that like the Netflix reality TV circuit. Like I love all those. Like I'm low-key kind of obsessed with that. But it's kind of funny. This is a career now.
Yeah. That is people's launch pad.
That's the launch pad. But how is that like sustainable? Is it?
Where there's a will, there's a way?
Yeah, for a small percentage, I feel. And the rest of them are just going to be like these people who got so much validation off social media and whatever. And then if it doesn't work, if it's not sustainable, like they need to find something else.
Like, then that's when they start doing like really absurd and dramatic things to keep themselves in the limelight, right? That's then what happens, I guess. It's weird. Like, I think I was reading that like we were the early generation to kind of grow up without the internet.
Yeah,
and then have the internet.
Yeah, we're a very unique generation.
So we don't actually know what we're doing with it. We've had to like learn life skills post-internet age, whereas like kids these days, they know how to use it, manipulate it. Whereas like we're too old, man. Partly we don't give a shit, and partly it's like we don't know how to like
harness it in the most effective way.
Yeah.
But I actually find, and obviously because I'm part of our generation, but I think it's kind of brilliant that we know life before, because I think that's why we're not obsessed by it. Obviously we are, like we're always with our phones and but I think we could also live without them, you know? We can still call our friends and it's not weird. Like I love calling, you know? But I know that there's young people, they're debilitated by, like outside of texting, they're like, why would I pick up my phone?
Yeah.
What?
It's like you can't have a conversation without like someone looking at their phone. Like, when was the last time any of these kids like played Tig? You know, like Tig. You know, when you run after kids like Tig, you're it. You know, you're it. Tag. You know, you're it, or like whatever. And like, you know,
because they've got screens and iPads now.
Exactly. Like we were doing that. Like
we made fun out of like the silliest things because you had to.
Yeah, because we had to use our
imagination. Yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see how that all pans out. But
it's just like kicking a bottle, like an empty Coke bottle between like three of you because like you've got no football.
Yeah, or like, under a table when your parents are like at dinner and having a conversation. You're like, all right, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do, lads?
And like now what? You know, it's just like that was our lifestyle, but it's no one's lifestyle anymore.
No, they won't know how to. They just don't know how to be without it. And it's kind of scary. And it's going to be interesting to see what the workforce looks like these generations and how they work. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that we have a lot of influence from like our parents and them, like hardworking.
Massive.
You know, we're still kind of into the 9 to 5. We want hybrid. We want more like time for ourselves, obviously, but we still kind of buy into that. Like,
well, we're still like seeking the approval of our parents and now the older generation of like, look, no, we can live we're not no snowflakes, that are, like, as they like to call us.
As they like to call,
we're like just as good as you.
Yeah.
But then like to the younger generation, like, no, we're still hip and cool.
I'm still cool.
We're still with it. Look at us. We're part of you too. And it's just like we're being torn in half, you know?
If you could use one word to describe money, what would it be?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I wanted to like say like, oh, it's evil and this and that, but I think the reality is like money's just apathetic. It's the construct that people put around it. Like it's an inanimate thing. It's a tool. What do you do with it? You know, it's a tool. Maybe a tool is a better word. It's just what you want to do with it and who wields it. That maybe kind of that really kind of gives it its power, you know, like unfortunately a lot of shitty people have a lot of money and wield it in a selfish manner, you know, like
2016 was a terrible year for me. Like in terms of I was always a very like optimistic person. Not to say that I'm not, but I think I've become more of a realist.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I know it's that like bubble mentality, you know, you and I probably come from very similar upbringings and similar backgrounds. And, you know, so that means our friends and our circles are very similar. You know, you obviously have differences between you, but probably politically aligned in a very similar way, all that kind of thing. So you think, oh yeah, we're all aligned. And I like to think that when I vote for the future generations. I don't think about what's just in front of me. I think, okay, and it's not like I couldn't wait to vote. Like it was the most exciting thing when I turned 17 and I could register to vote for when I was 18. I was democracy. I was like, yes, I'm gonna have my say. So excited. And then where was I going with this train of thought? Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I'm infecting you. Oh God.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so I was so excited about, you know, like voting and everything. And so like 2016 came and I was living here at the time and I was actually at Glastonbury, right? And, you know, prior to Glastonbury, Michael Eaves had actually sent out an email to everyone being like, look, make sure you get your postal votes in. You know, we can't let this happen, da da da. And I was like, of course, like I didn't even think it would go through because it just sounds not so nonsensical that Brexit would be a thing. You know, got in my postal vote. I was like, Europe, let's keep together.
Yeah.
I even posted on Facebook, like, EU friends, let's stick together. Woohoo. And then it was Thursday night. Obviously, we all went to the polling stations, you know, if you were present physically. Yeah. And then like Friday morning, I was in a tent with my friend, her brother, and the brother's girlfriend. And I woke up at like 7 a.m. because he'd obviously checked his phone. And all I heard, I'll never forget Chris's voice. All he said was, we're out, we're out. And I was like, we're out of what? I actually didn't even compute it was Brexit because it just seems like such a far-fetched idea. Because the polls were showing that it wasn't going to go through.
Yeah.
I wake up. Glastonbury was one of the best and worst places to be because we came out and obviously it's a lot of people who are aligned in that same mentality, right? People were like crying, wailing, like people were depressed. And up until about 3-4 p.m. when people were drunk enough or, you know, we're like, well, there's nothing we can do. It was a very depressing place to be. And I know that people in London were just like, the hell is going on? What does this mean?
It's like, how or what? Like, and there was a whole like, let's make London independent because screw the rest of the UK. Like, they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Let's break away.
Let's break away.
Let's become the Vatican. We'll become.
Let's Scotland. Scotland? Let's go with you, Scotland, quick. You know,
Nicola Sturgis, take us.
Take us with you, God.
And then so that was bad, you know. But then we're like, oh, but we could revoke it, you know. Like there was this weird hope that we had that things were going to go back to as they were because this was a glitch. You know.
What's 1% between friends?
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly.
What's 1%?
We'll fix this. Don't worry about it. So we'll focus on the other things. Then like Trump's going up for election, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, but don't worry. You know, like
it's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I was back at home in Sydney at the time, and with the time difference, I could actually watch like the polls, the votes being counted, and like it started off in the morning, and I was sitting there, and I was like, okay, I had it on the whole day, right? It was wild to see. Trump. It's coming.
Yeah.
And I had plans. So that afternoon, I had to go into the city. And just before I left, it was it either had happened or it was like, no, like it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got on that train. I got onto the train and I was just like staring into space. And an old school friend of mine saw me and hadn't seen her in years. And she was like, CJ. And I just looked up and apparently I still remember I just looked up and I was like, didn't say her name, didn't say anything. I was like, Trump's in. Trump is in. And she was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I just,
Yeah.
everything I thought about the world, everything I thought about like people and how we believed in the future of this
Yeah.
planet and the human race, it all went down the toilet. I was like, I just realized people are inherently selfish.
I'd love if we went back into the EU, but when's that going to... Because also, okay, that's another thing. As a business,
Oh,
like
very
you...
restrictive.
Yeah, like if I look at, okay, going back to money and business and competition, like I'm limited to the UK, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, right? But like I'm looking at competition and they're set in France and they have like all of Europe
Yeah.
as like they've got, there's people out there with like 25, they're like my age, younger than me probably. And they've got like 25,000 sales, and that's like enough of 25,000 times 30 quid each. Like how much is that? That's enough to set yourself up in a
Yeah.
really good way, right? Quit your day job,
Yeah.
enjoy something
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
pursue, start something, get a shop and this and that, and actually like be something part of the community. But and they get to do that because they're part of Europe. But now I don't do that because I can't do that because I then have to pay all this extra. I have to pay these extra charges, or the customer has to then, if I pass on,
Exactly.
they have to pay all these extra charges and customs and this and that. And you're thinking like it's actually easier. It's not worth my hassle in a way, like I could get a £300 order from Germany. And I actually just kind of turned it down because I was just like, that's a lot of money as well.
I know.
But you're just like, it's not worth the hassle because I don't actually know. It's just not worth the hassle.
You don't even have a Republic of Ireland anymore. Like
No.
I live in Dublin, and they people used to say, "Oh, you could get stuff like next day delivery, or sometimes same day, depending." Like between the UK and Republic of Ireland,
Yeah.
it was like seamless.
Yeah.
And do you know how honestly strange it is to pay VAT on something from the United Kingdom when you're going between airports, it's almost like you're in the same country because you barely even pass border
Yeah.
control. Well, look, I'm in Dublin, you're over there to see the work that you've done.
Yeah.
Holla.
Yeah. I will. I will. I
Holla at
will.
your
I
girl.
will. I will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I'll take you out. I don't know where I'm going. I've got a
Yeah,
kid. I don't go out.
Yeah, we're just gonna. I don't know.
We'll be home by 9. It'll
in
be
bed, in
it'll
bed by 10.
yeah. That's how I roll these days. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a
It's been a
pleasure.
pleasure having you. And I loved what you said about the word, the apathy,
Yeah.
and then the tool, because you described what I have been trying to say is like, it's like I hate money, but the hate that I put on it is
Yeah.
purely just the value I put on it.
Yeah.
Right? Or what I see other people put the value of it on. Like, it's not that money is bad. It's that we've created it to be bad. Like,
Yeah.
we've made it bad. We've made it evil. We've made it a power tool.
You have to look. Yeah. Then you have to like look at your own like preconceptions of of why you think money is bad. It's like, is it because I'm jealous that someone else has a lot more than me? And it's like, do I want more? And it's like, what does that say about me? It's just like it throws you into so many different corners if you really start to dissect it. And whatever, isn't it? It's just kind of like it just turns into this monster on its own,
Yeah.
And
And
but it doesn't need to be. There are lots of people who do good things out there. It's just there's not a lot of them doing that.
No, and a lot of strife, a lot of tension, a lot of wars are just off the back of greed. And
It really is. It really is. And it's just the only reason Israel can go to war is because, it has a lot of money to kind of, and a lot of alliances to kind of do that in a way. Like,
yeah, and the US are supporting how they support because of the US dollar.
yeah. And like the UK and America, they're war nations. They make a lot of money from war.
Firearms.
So
Yeah.
it's like war is profitable for the UK and America. So for them, it's just like they need something to happen. They need like to sell. They'll happy to sell to both sides. They don't give a shit. As long as they're like, keep me out of it. I'm just here to give you what you need. So it's quite funny when you think of it like that. It's just dark. It's dark. It's pretty
so
dark.
dark. And I feel like we're in that place of society where you're quite helpless.
Yeah. The Wild West out here these days, honestly. It's funny when you said about 2016 because I feel like 2016 is when like the world really started to go downhill.
It was a nosedive.
It was a nose. Ever since then, it's just been like, I personally feel like things have just been getting crazier and crazier. Each year has just like managed to top itself every year since 2016
You
somehow.
never think it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And honestly, I genuinely thought Trump was going to get elected. Now it looks like he might go to prison, I think. But he can also appeal. So he might not.
Yeah.
He might still get up there every single year. And now Gaza. And you're like, that's a different, whoa, I didn't really, okay.
Yeah. Well, now we have 2 wars going on.
Like, this is like
one wasn't enough. 2 is, yeah.
Like, this is the worst episode of Black Mirror I've ever seen. And I just want to switch the TV off. This is what I think 2016 was. It was the start of the worst episode of Black Mirror ever. And I can't get out of it. I can't turn the TV off.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, oh, we're just living this life now. It's not the one I chose, but it's the one I have.
It's like, you know, those Goosebumps books where you could choose your own
yeah,
adventure.
yeah.
But you ended up on the page that you didn't want to, but you didn't keep your thumb on the other page, so now you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck in that tunnel, and you're like, why did I keep my finger there like I always do and pretend that I chose the other one?
Yeah, it's like, no, damn it. It's why, like, it's funny, like, it's just funny how, like, the Western world kind of just turned instantly barbaric.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
Against itself, you know?
We are a terrible species.
Oh, it's super cancerous on this planet. Like, I remember saying to some people, like, yeah, this planet would be fine if humans just didn't exist. Like, everything would be fine.
It'd flourish.
Teeming with life. Imagine, like, everywhere you stand, like, in this country was forest.
Yeah,
like,
there was an animal
everything.
species that is now extinct that wouldn't be extinct if we weren't here. On that note,
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. No, I like to talk about the doom and gloom because it's real. I'm a realist, remember?
Yeah, no, it's where I'm at.
That's where we're at. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much, man. Good to...
Appreciate it. That was great.
That was a good high five.
That was good. That was a good slap on the 5 there. Yeah, that was good.
Let's go.
Let's go.